Hello, welcome to the stream. I think everything should be fine. If it's not, we will figure it out really soon. So today I'm here with Caperfin. Caperfin knows quite a lot about all kind of meme specs, and today we are going to talk on the Melee Hunter actually. I didn't even know Melee Hunter was a thing, honestly. So we will see what it gives. I don't know a lot about it, but Caperfin wrote guides about this kind of thing. So yeah, how are you, Caperfin?
I'm doing very well. How about you?
I'm doing good. It's very sunny here in Belgium. Good weather, holiday. Just basically, it's a good day, and we are still waiting for the classic. But
Ah, yes.
in the meantime, this is good, right? So I'm going to check in chat if anyone is seeing some lag because I had a few problems setting up the stream, but it seems like no one is saying something about lag. So um, okay, let's go and start with just a small overview about basically what are we going to talk about. So Melee Hunter, why is it viable? Why doesn't anyone know about it? How does it work? Like the basics, real quick.
The basics. Why don't we see that much? I don't really know. I believe it's because of a lack of effort, and most people, when they want to play a game, they want to play the most efficient way, and they tend to follow what everyone else does, and there's no real.
It's viable. Why
No one wants to
doesn't
try anything
anyone
new.
know about it?
However,
How does it work?
I've
Like
come to the
the basics.
conclusion, I believe a year ago, that melee hunters are actually very good in raid. Basically, it involves being in melee and taking advantage of everything a melee class would normally. It also revolves around triggerable weapons like Thunder Fury, for example. We don't get Thunder Fury. That's just an example of its chance on hit effect.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's the general overview. Some
Okay.
people might be familiar with that.
So would you say Melee Hunter is actually a viable spec in every raid, or does it start being viable in a certain raid?
It depends on the amount of effort you put in. Most people don't know this, but at a very, very, very high level, if you get really good gear, a melee hunter can come very close to a ranged hunter's DPS, and in some cases even surpass a ranged hunter DPS. In terms of the exact raid where they really skyrocket in damage, uh, it's a bit complicated.
Okay.
Maybe we can go later on. I can talk about it once
Yeah.
people are more familiar with the subject.
Um, yeah. Maybe we can start with the talent build. That's something
Sure.
which gives a little bit of context, right? So when I think of Melee Hunter, I immediately think of survival. I'm not quite sure if it is going to be a survival build, but it used to be like the melee spec in the early days of vanilla, right?
So, yeah, it used to be back in the day. We've learned a lot since then, right? We have plenty of tools that can help us break down stats. We have our own little echo chambers involving Discord, and we share information with each other. So there are two town setups actually for a melee hunter,
Okay.
depending on the boss fight. If you're looking to kill a boss within 2 minutes, you're actually looking at Beast Mastery of all specs. So if the
Wow.
boss is two
Okay.
minutes, you're looking at Beast Mastery.
But 2 minutes. That's private server thing.
Yes,
Well,
that's
we don't
private
know
server.
yet. So
You're
yeah.
looking at Fire Maw, you're looking at bosses that are on farm, essentially. If the fight lasts more than 2 minutes, you're looking at 2 minutes and 30 seconds to 3 minutes to even 4 minutes. You're looking more at a survival talent setup for a melee hunter.
Okay. Before we go on, I just noticed
Mhm.
the screen on the stream is still wrong. I think, at least on my end. So I'm going to change that a little bit. Um, hmm. hmm. There's still a text stream going on. Stream starting soon. I think. Yeah, that should solve it. So, okay. We can keep going now. So, let's start with the Beastmaster build, if that's okay for you. I have the talent tree open in the stream, so we can just go over the talents and build up. That's, just to be clear, that's a build for raiding for 2 minutes or
Yes,
less,
rating.
right? Okay, so...
Very, very. You have to be in a good guild, obviously, right?
Okay.
You're trying something that's a bit off the norm. You want people to be on their A game.
Yeah. All right, so we start with... yeah. What do we
So,
start with?
in the first tier, right from the beginning, it depends. If you can keep your pet alive, if you're really good with pet management, you actually will be putting points in improved aspects of the hawk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If
Let's do
you're
that.
new to melee hunter, you're looking at putting points in, I believe it's endurance training. Endurance training, yes, to increase the health of your pet because you're not that good with managing your pet's movements and, you know.
Okay, so
Yeah.
a melee hunter does a lot of damage with the pet, is that right?
Yes, does damage with the pet, yes. Contrary to popular belief, as a melee hunter, you actually do weave in ranged attacks when
That's
you're
why
moving
you
from...
take Aspect of the Hawk, I
Yes.
guess. Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, normally we have Papa MooNN with us, but today he was feeling a little bit sick, actually. So he's in the chat, so hello, Papa MooNN. I hope you're doing well, or doing better at least. Okay, so improved Aspect of the Hawk, that's what we have. And then, where do we go?
Then you're looking at improved revive pet, just in case your pet happens to die. You want to bring him back to life.
I took that. And then?
Then you put points in endurance training. As much as I said that
Okay.
you should be really good with your pet, you still want a bit of HP on your pet for that odd occasional boss that involves AoE. You don't want your pet to be a wet paper.
So that's better than the Thick Hide talent?
Thick hide involves increasing the armor rating of your pet. Your pet needs to be attacked by the boss through physical attacks, which should not be happening.
All right. Okay. So then we can go to the third tier in the tree.
Third tier, yes.
Yeah.
We're looking at putting points in bestial fury. I believe,
Swiftness. That is that bestial?
sorry, no, unleashed fury.
Unleashed fury. Okay.
Yeah. Unleashed fury. 5 points.
Yeah.
Then you're looking at putting 5 points in ferocity.
All right.
After that, you put 1 point in intimidation.
All right. So
And
that
2
that
points-
makes it quite interesting for PvP as well. But we can
Yes.
talk about
it does
PvP
have
later.
some PvP aspects. Yeah, I can
Okay,
go
cool.
into that later on if you're
Yeah.
interested.
Yeah. Sure.
After that, you're looking to put 2 points in bestial discipline.
Okay, that will increase the focus of your pet. Focus. Okay, so it can attack actually more often with special abilities.
Yeah.
All right.
I'd like to point out that on some private servers, the focus regeneration of pets is even higher than it's supposed to be, and just on those few servers, you can see hunter DPS just skyrocket through insane levels. But that's just a few servers here and there.
Okay.
Just thought I'd point that out if anyone was interested. Afterwards, you're looking at putting points in, I believe it is endurance training as well. Yeah, endurance training, 4 out of 5.
So actually a 5 out of 5 of endurance training and
No, 4 out of 5.
4? Okay.
4 out of 5, yes.
Then we lack one
Wait,
talent
let me
to
do it.
go.
Wait, just
Yeah.
a sec here. 100%. Yes, 5 out of 5. 5 out of 5 endurance training. That unlocks frenzy, which is the before last tier. You put 5 points into frenzy.
And then
That
we
unlocks
take
bestial wrath.
bestial wrath. So we don't have bestial swiftness. Would it be interesting to take that over like the last point in endurance training?
It would be for outdoors. Raids are not typically outdoors. With maybe a few. I'm not considering AQ. No, it would be mostly for PvP, I believe.
Okay, but so if you want like to have a hybrid spec for both PvE and PvP, you could
You would
probably
put the
switch
point in
those
bestial
out.
swiftness,
Okay.
yes. Yeah.
Right, so we have 31 talents. That means 20 are left to spend somewhere. Where will we go then?
So you're looking at even within here, you're looking for situational stuff. If you are not hit capped, you're looking at putting points in mostly survival. If you
Okay.
are hit capped, you're looking at putting points in marksmanship and a bit of survival. So
All
it will
right.
depend on where you're at that point.
Let's first go with the not hit capped.
The not hit capped. All right.
Yes.
You're looking at putting points in monster slaying and humanoid slaying, depending on what raid you're doing. If you're fighting humans or dragonkin.
Wait, my PC is doing something. Right. So monster slaying and then humanoid slaying. Okay.
Yeah, depending on this. Really depends.
Yeah.
Then you're looking at putting points in savage strikes. 2 points in savage strikes.
All right. So then you will do more melee damage, quite obviously. Okay, that's
Yes.
an obvious talent, I guess.
Here, very situational. You can either complete the whole slaying aspect. I like to put points in deflection, just in case if I happen to aggro a mob near the boss. I want to have a bit more survival. This is really situational, right?
Okay.
You can put them in improved wing clip if you want.
But you will not improve your traps. I would think, like, if you're in melee range, you can put a trap there, right?
It's a bit counterintuitive if you would need to, every time you put down a trap, you would need to remember if you have points in entrapment or not. It's situational.
Okay.
Maybe the raid leader might need you to put points in entrapment to use your trap. It's really situational.
Okay. And then where do you go next?
You put points in clever traps. 2 points in clever traps. 3 points in survivalist.
Okay.
3 points in sure-footed, which increases your hit chance.
Which is why you go this way if you are not hit capped, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. Now here, this is the part where it's server dependent on how the server exactly treats feign death, the spell, whether or not a boss is incapable of resisting a feign death or not. The same thing goes with traps. On some servers, traps have a 100% chance to trigger on bosses, on some they don't. So here you're looking to put either 2 points in trap mastery or 2 points in improved feign death, depending on server coding.
Okay.
Most of the time, you end up putting points in trap mastery.
Right, so if I look at this build, I would not really say this is like a melee hunter build. I would have thought it would be deeper into survival, but I can see the pet doing a lot of damage this way, so yeah.
Yeah, so this is you're looking at burst damage. This is where Bestial Wrath comes in. On top of this, if you're an orc, I'm not sure if sure you know this, but orc gain a bonus ratio to pet damage. So you tie this in with Bestial Wrath, Frenzy, all this kind of stuff. You're looking at insane amounts of burst damage. Burst damage is good for a 2-minute fight. If you're looking at more than a 2-minute fight, you're looking at a more survival-oriented build.
Okay, that makes sense. Right. So, what would be the big difference with the other kind of build? So you said this one is for the bosses under 2 minutes. How would you go with bosses over 2 minutes? Or is it even viable to be like a melee hunter in a leveling situation, and would that build be entirely different, or would you take
in a leveling
something like the
situation?
same? Yeah.
I don't really suggest you are in the heat of battle in melee range with a mob. You never know if you might aggro something. Usually when you're leveling, you want to keep a distance. I wouldn't suggest a melee hunter while leveling, if I'm
Okay.
being honest.
All right, so let's go for the build for the longer boss fights first, and now we can go a little bit deeper into how the build actually plays.
All right, so we don't even need to completely wipe the talents. We would just need to wipe the beast mastery
Okay. That's what I did.
talents.
Yeah.
So we're left with 20 points in survival.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna want to put points in killer instinct.
Yes.
Afterwards, you put points in survivalist, 2 points in survivalist. Now you have 5 out of 5 survivalist.
Okay.
Survivalist is also really good if the boss has AoE. Since you're in melee range, you might get hit. This is better on the healers. It alleviates stress. You're looking at putting 5 points in lightning reflexes. to increase your agility. Agility increases your crit. We love that. As a melee hunter, that's amazing. After that, we're going towards Beast Mastery.
Okay, so you don't take Wyvern or Wyvern Sting.
No, Wyvern Sting does not apply to bosses.
Oh yeah, I see.
Sadly, it doesn't. Yeah,
So you,
that's a shame.
would you say you missed the old 31 talent of survival? What's it called? It's like a rent effect, right? The bleed.
Savage Strikes, I believe, or some sort of yeah, I believe it has the rend icon.
Yeah.
I heard it did a lot of damage in vanilla, more than it's
Really?
supposed to.
Oh yeah, because the tooltip always said it did like no damage at all. So, but I never
And I heard-
tried the hunter at level 40 in vanilla. So
I heard it had really good scaling as well, but that might be just rumors, right?
yeah, you will never know, I guess.
Yeah, you'll never know.
Yeah. All right.
Okay,
So yeah.
you're looking at putting 5 points in Improve Aspect of the Hawk. Same deal here. If you can't manage your pet effectively, put points in endurance training.
Okay.
Then you're looking at putting points in Improved Revive Pet. Same deal. Put points a bit in endurance training to unlock Unleashed Fury. Afterwards, this unlocks Ferocity. Put points in Ferocity. Afterwards, you have 1 point left. You're looking to put this point in Bestial Discipline.
All right. So it's yet again like a full PvE build without, because if you make this build for PvP, for example, and PvE, I would like go with intimidation, and in the survival tree, I would probably add deterrence and counterattack, and probably even Wyvern Sting.
Yeah, if you want to save the respec gold,
Yeah.
you can put a point in intimidation.
Okay, so we have an idea now about how the spec will play. Oh, well, not how it will play, but how the talents are. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about what is the rotation like? What can I expect if I try to play melee hunter? How should I play it?
Okay, well, like I said, melee hunters revolve around triggerable weapons, whether it be Thunder Fury, Shadow Blade, Corrupted Ashbringer. We're looking to trigger the chance on hit on these weapons. Most people don't know this, but the hunter ability Wing Clip is kind of weird. It performs what I like to call Phantom Strike, which is kind of a melee, but not really. It technically World of Warcraft considers it a swing of your weapon, so you can essentially continuously spam Wing Clip in the hopes of proccing these chance on hit weapons.
Yeah, that's right.
So the more you Wing Clip, the higher chance. Pretty simple. So within the melee hunter, you're looking at 2 different paths. You can go a support hunter, or you can go a personal damage dealing hunter. For support hunter, you're looking at wielding weapons such as Nightfall, which increases the damage of casters. So continuously spamming Wing Clip in the hopes of proccing Nightfall to help your Warlock, to help anyone else that does shadow damage. In terms of the personal damage hunter, you're looking at getting weapons for example, Neretsek, I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. Neretsek the Blood Drinker, which has a chance on hit to deal lifesteal damage. This lifesteal damage is actually shadow damage. So this can be increased through debuffs, through spell damage, right? So anything from the Flask of Supreme Power to improved Shadow Bolt to Shadow Weaving, you name it. Curse of Shadow, the list goes on. So yeah, these are the kind of 2 avenues you can take as a melee hunter. You're not just being relegated to increase your personal damage, you can also go in more support depending on what your guild needs. Just to give you an example of the highest damage you can achieve on how a hunter looks when he performs the highest damage, you're looking at a Corrupted Ashbringer on a melee hunter. Corrupted Ashbringer is the kind of best in slot weapon for a melee hunter. Corrupted Ashbringer is similar to Neretsek. It deals lifesteal damage, which is shadow. I'm sure you get the point by now. On top of that, you can take it a step further by putting Shadow Oil, which is a temporary weapon enchant. Same thing as Corrupted Ashbringer, deals shadow damage. Yeah, you're essentially a Death Knight.
I
You're
see.
doing so
Yeah.
much shadow damage.
So actually, every hunter or every weapon is a hunter weapon after all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
believe it or not, yeah. Well, I'd say Corrupted Ashbringer is the true best in slot melee weapon for a hunter.
Hmm.
I don't really see why you would give the Corrupted Ashbringer to any other class, honestly. Simply
Wow.
because you're at Nax, yeah, you're at Nax, and you have access to Might of Menethil, which might be better for other classes. So, yeah.
Maybe to a paladin, right?
Paladin, I believe, lean more towards Might of Menethil. They do have some spell damage here and there, but
Hmm.
I could debate this for a long time.
Okay, cool. So, as a melee hunter, let's say you go with a full damage build, or you try to be as high in the damage as you can.
Mhm.
You spam wing clip all the time, or do you use other abilities as well?
Yes, you're looking at so the odd thing about vanilla World of Warcraft is that you can theoretically calculate proc chance. There are a few add-ons here and there that can help you with how often a weapon will trigger and whether or not you should continue to perform these phantom strikes or whether you should just do anything else.
Hmm.
So yes, you not only do wing clip, but you also do a combination of raptor strike as well. So you're looking to do raptor strike, wing clip, um, yeah, it's a very simple rotation, but it can get very complicated if there's, for example, movement involved in a raid. For example, you need to get from one point to another. You're looking at weaving in arcane shot or a multi shot between transitioning between one mob to another. So it can get very complicated. It's not just these two spells.
Okay. Would you use some kind of DPS or damage traps as well, like immolation trap
Mm.
or anything like that?
It's a very interesting subject. Yes, immolation trap. For people who don't know, scales with spell damage. We
Hmm.
don't know if this is exactly how it was in World of Warcraft Vanilla, and if it's the same thing in WoW Classic. We're a bit hesitant on that right now. Yeah, so it scales with spell damage. So it scales with Flask of Supreme Power, as well as debuffs. For example, Flame Buffet. Flame Buffet is a very, very, very powerful fire damage increasing debuff. If you can somewhat time it properly with Flame Buffet, you're looking at very good damage from traps. Most people don't know this as well. There's a lot of hitting things.
Hmm.
Feign Death allows you to get out of combat, and technically, for a very, very small window, you can put down traps before you enter combat with the boss. Uh, I believe on some servers it's 1 second, on some it's 2 seconds. It will depend on the combat pulse
Hmm.
of each raid boss. But you're looking at you can use add-ons such as item rack, which automatically equips items
Hmm.
as well. So not only are you looking to use Feign Death to put down a trap, but you're also looking to swap out items.
So you can basically change your armor
Yes.
while in a boss fight when using
Mhm.
Feign Death. Okay. So is that a private server thing, or is there anything that proves it worked back in the day in Vanilla WoW as well?
There is proof from WoW Vanilla. The window frame, the time is much shorter. It's zero point 0.5 seconds.
It's is it like the same as a spell batching window?
That I'm not exactly sure. We'll have to test in WoW Classic
Hmm.
once we have access to bosses, and even then we'll have to see the combat pulse of each boss. But we do have evidence from WoW Vanilla that it is doable. Just the time frame is much smaller.
Okay, so let's say you're the most skilled melee hunter out there, and you have all the gear you need. Um, for example, in Molten Core, we are
Mhm.
just in Molten Core. What would be your DPS like? Will you be able to be competitive in the DPS charts?
So yes, this is. Um, so will you be able to be? Yes. This will depend on a few buffs.
Hmm.
Most people don't know this. I keep saying that, but not
It's
really
true,
talked
right?
about much.
Yeah.
Uh, I seem to be the only one covering this. But you can actually get Bloodlust in vanilla. This buff can account for a tremendous amount of DPS as a melee hunter, because as a melee hunter, you're looking to swing your weapon, which has a chance on hit. The faster your weapon speed is, the faster you have a chance of triggering it. You get the idea.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're able to get Bloodlust and a few keynote buffs out there, notably Flask of Supreme Power, and you really go above and beyond, you're looking at surpassing ranged Hunter DPS, and in some cases getting very close to more traditional DPS classes.
How would you get Bloodlust in vanilla?
So Bloodlust is acquired from mind controlling a Spirestone Battle Mage in Dire Maul. Now, this might depend on your server whether or not Dire Maul is available. For this hypothetical, we'll assume Dire Maul is available. You're looking, yeah. So you have your friend get on a priest. You mind control the Spirestone Battle Mage. Then you have your friend who is controlling the mage cast Bloodlust on the hunter. The moment that happens, you have the raid summon the hunter into the instance, and you engage the boss.
Okay, so
Bloodlust basically.
you need to be able to summon people into the instance for that.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I know, that's not possible.
Depends. Did we get a clarification on WoW Classic how that works
Yeah,
exactly?
yeah. I think you can summon people into the instance if you are in the instance already. So you need to be outside of Molten Core to summon people to the Molten Core, right? And then you go in, and then if there's a Warlock somewhere in the raid, he can summon you from inside of Molten Core to another place in Molten Core. So you'll need like 2 Warlocks to do this. You need
Yes.
one
Yeah.
outside of Molten Core, and then you run in, and then you need to be summoned again.
Yeah, it would be more intricate. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Unfortunately, we're a bit coddled on private
that are
servers.
a lot of steps actually.
Yeah.
Just
But yeah, like I said, Melee Hunter is a very much effort spec. If you put in the effort, the damage is just absolutely insane.
insane by which rate are we
Insane
talking then? And
by
how
rate like
what numbers are we talking about?
what numbers? Well, honestly, it'll depend on the gear you can get, the competence of your guild, whether or not you uh, can acquire enchants. It really depends. But like I said before, you're looking at surpassing ranged hunters and yeah, coming very close to more traditional DPS classes.
Okay.
But of course, I should point out, technically, these more traditional DPS classes can get Bloodlust as well.
Yeah.
Under this hypothetical, we're assuming they can't get Bloodlust.
So if you don't have Bloodlust, is the spec entirely doomed to fail, or is Bloodlust just one of the little buffs, and if you have everything else except for Bloodlust, it will still do fine?
Without Bloodlust, it's not that big of a factor. You're coming close more to a traditional ranged hunter DPS, maybe just a tad short. Bloodlust kind of really narrows the gap, really helps you a lot, especially if you put Shadow Oil. Shadow Oil is based on attack speed, so everything is just so well synergized. It's unbelievable.
Maybe you should go a little bit deeper into those buffs. So you say Shadow Oil is an important one. Which
Yes,
other of
Shadow Oil.
those do you really need to do well in as a melee hunter?
So yeah, Shadow Oil scales with spell damage, scales with debuffs that involve shadow damage. It is a best in slot enchant for a melee hunter, just because it synergizes with so many things in World of Warcraft. You just can't avoid it. We're learning that more and more classes can use Shadow Oil. So whether it be a rogue that puts Shadow Oil on their daggers, or even a paladin, believe it or not, that puts Shadow Oil on their weapon to increase DPS. That's a whole other topic. But yeah.
Wow, a paladin doing shadow damage,
Yeah,
or oh,
I can go into that if you, it depends if you want.
another time
Another
maybe.
time.
Yeah, that's not paladin like. Okay, so shadow oil is one thing. Which other buffs would you really like to have? And I suppose you need a flask, or
Yeah, Flask of
yeah.
Supreme Power is kind of the go-to uh, flask you're looking. You're also looking at getting the buff Gnomish Battle Chicken, which increases your attack speed. Needless to say, attack speed, you get a chance on hit,
Yeah. It's all about its attack speed and chance on hits,
Attack
right?
speed, yeah.
Yeah.
You're looking at getting world buffs, right? Rallying Cry of the Dragon Slayer, Elixir of the
Oh yeah,
Mongoose, you name it.
that's right. Juna Jelly just points out in chat it's part of the Paladin to have Shadow Oil,
Yes,
and we
Paladin.
talked about that a few weeks ago.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah. Okay.
I'm sorry, man. I forgot about it. So yeah. So we have the flask. Do you use all kinds of elixirs and potions and stuff?
Yeah, you go really hard, as you should in a really good guild, right? Everyone should put in 100%. You shouldn't. You're no exception. You're looking at getting a War Chief's Blessing. Many people don't know this, but you can get War Chief's Blessing on the Alliance through clever little mind control tricks. So there's no excuse not to have War Chief's Blessing on the Alliance. Uh, what else? You're looking at getting Greater Arcane Elixir. If you bribe your priest, your disciplined priests, perhaps they could throw a power infusion your way if you're very if you happen to have a disciplined priest, that helps a lot.
Wouldn't that be
Yeah,
better for a mage?
it would be better, but hey, we can use it too.
I say a Boomkin can use it too, I guess. So
Oh yeah, anyone can use it. It depends on
yeah.
how much you bribe the healers.
All right.
What else? Yeah, you're looking at Songflower Serenade. Uh, the list goes on. Dragon Breath Chili. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing you use for Paladin apparently. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I guess some of the what's the weapon called from No More Gone as Paladin uses?
MCP?
Yeah, is that useful?
No, hunters can't wield maces,
Oh
unfortunately.
yeah, that explains something because that would increase your attack speed a lot, right? So
It would, yeah. That's interesting. Kind of a hypothetical you're corrupting. I would need whether it's better than Corrupted Ashbringer or Nearest Tech. I don't know off the top of my head. It would be very weird. But yeah.
okay, so let's go a little bit into the gearing. What are the main stats you want to aim for? And yeah, let's start with that. What are the main stats you want to aim for?
So yeah, even though you're a melee hunter, you are not looking to get strength. Most people assume strength. I don't know why. You're not a warrior. You're still looking to acquire agility.
Okay.
You are gearing, I believe, yes, exactly the same way as a ranged hunter. The only difference is your main hand weapon, your two-hand weapon, or yeah, and perhaps your bow. Your bow might be different. You want to get a fast-hitting bow. I believe the fastest hitting ranged weapon is Hurricane. I can't quite remember. This is mainly due because when you are transitioning from one mob to another, you can weave in a auto attack to proc, improve the aspect of the hawk, and a few neat little tricks that I could go on later on about. But yeah, you're looking to gear exactly the same way as a ranged hunter, except your
Okay.
weapon is different.
So
Agility, important.
if you're a ranged hunter, you can just go and try out the melee spec if you have like the weapon.
Yeah, that's the very appealing thing about melee hunter. You don't need to go totally out of your way stealing gear from people that you're not supposed to.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I had another question. The gearing, we can actually go into the gearing process, but there are a lot of guides about best in slots hunter things, right? So I'm not entirely sure if it's interesting to go into detail about that, except if you have something just in front of you.
Something to point out? No, I believe someone has a consensus of the best in slot ranged hunter. There might be differences in terms of the glove, whether you get tier 3 or not. No, I believe there's nothing too special that I need to point out.
Okay, so there was one more question I had before we go into PvP and stuff, but is there a certain threshold in the raids, like in the Molten Core Blackwing Lair AQ40? When does the melee hunter becomes the most viable hunter spec? Well, not probably it will never become the most viable hunter spec if all go really hard, but when is it really going to shine? In which tier of raids is it going to shine the most?
First of all, I should point out, don't try this for progression, right? Especially world progression. people can come to. I think everyone understands world progression usually lasts 1 week. After 1 week, you can look into trying Melee Hunter. You can try this. You can try a Melee Hunter. Technically, you could do pre-raid best in slot Melee Hunter involving, I believe the weapon is Wraith Sight, and the dagger is. What's the dagger? I think it's Alcor. Yes, so you're looking at these chance on hit weapons in the pre-raid. That's technically the earliest, but you don't do that much damage. It's just for those die-hard Melee Hunter fans that just can't wait. The next best weapon that has a very big significance in raids would be Nightfall. So you could say the first time you can go Melee Hunter is with Nightfall.
Would you say the Melee Hunter is like the best the best class or specialization in class combination to wield Nightfall? Is it better than a tank warrior or better than a paladin or anything?
So Night Elf, sorry, not Night Elf. A Hunter has the highest uptime of the debuff Nightfall. However, their overall personal damage is not as high as, for example, a support warrior who is wielding Nightfall. So it really depends on what you're looking at, and as well as raid composition. A lot of things come to play. If you have an abundance of casters in your raid, you're looking for a hunter to wield Nightfall.
Okay, so a hunter would be a really viable option in a heavy caster multi-core, for example.
Okay. Also, a lot of other classes depend on Shadow Oil, for example, Spelladin, even rogues in some situations.
That's cool. We have quite a few of those, so it's interesting at the very least. So, if there is anything else you want to talk about from the PvE aspect, we can do that first. Maybe some tricks and some anything you can think about or think of.
Some tricks, yes.
Yeah.
There is a neat little trick involving proccing a tier set called Primal Blessing. So Primal Blessing is basically has a small chance when you deal damage in ranged or melee to grant you melee attack power. So you can proc this kind of tier set before a boss fight by either attacking a dig rat, an unconscious dig rat. I have a whole video about this unconscious dig rat and the numerous tricks you can do with it. But essentially, you're looking to proc this tier set, which increases your attack power, and then you can engage the boss. There's neat little tricks. If you're moving from one target to another, you can equip your ranged weapon, attack the upcoming target, proc this tier set, and then take out the weapons. It can get very complicated. So yeah, that's one of the many tricks you can do as a melee hunter.
So would you say it's like high skilled or high skill cap spec?
If you're looking to kind of put some spice into your life, right? You've played World of Warcraft for a few years and you want to try something new, right? You've already leveled a mage and you're like, I want to try something new, right? I suggest melee hunter.
So yeah, I would in the beginning I would have asked why would you ever go with a melee hunter, but you kind of answered it already a little bit. So is it something you would ever consider playing yourself in Classic WoW?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been playing the game for such a long time. Things tend to get stale, especially from a 15-year-old game, right? There's tons of guides out there with more traditional DPS classes, and I want to try something new.
That
I'm
makes
tired
sense.
of always seeing the typical warrior topping the charts. It's like it gets a bit mundane. I play warrior. I'm not saying that I'm not bad mouthing warriors. I actually play one. It's just I'm looking to put some spice into the game, basically.
I wonder if you had the choice to play the 1.1 Classic instead of the 1.12, would you do that?
Ooh. It's very interesting. I need to learn more.
The reason I ask this is because, as many people know, I guess survival was supposed to be a melee tree in the early days of vanilla. So things like the melee hunter would probably have been a lot more viable even, but then they changed it, obviously. Personally, I would like, or actually I would love to have had 1.1 classic and then progression through the patches, but as we know, that's
Yeah,
not going to happen. So yeah.
yeah. Speaking of back then, Mongoose Bite, the hunter ability worked differently. When you dodged a target, you could apply the Mongoose Bite on the target, on a different target, on a second target. So that would be a very, very big significant boost in terms of hunter melee DPS. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way on WoW Classic and current private servers, but yeah, I would be interested to see.
Yeah, it's something I'm looking forward a lot to Classic WoW, but if they just if they just had gone with the 1.1 talents and changed it like in the phases, I would have been so happy. But many people probably wouldn't have been happy because most people think the 1.12 talents are more balanced, right? So
Yeah, personally, I think it trivializes the game a bit more, right? Especially with announced, I believe 16 debuffs, right? Did they?
16 debuffs, yes.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, it probably does trivialize it a little bit, I guess. The thing is, if you have like some really underperforming specs, would people play them? Wouldn't they just go with the most broken specs? I think that's one of the reasons they went with the 1.12
True.
talents.
Yeah, and also.
However, you could make you could make a case that pre 1.12 talents had some other specs doing really well. So yeah, it would definitely shake up the metagame a lot. Okay, so let's go a little bit into the PvP. How would the melee hunter play in a PvP scenario? I will change the spec a little bit so it suits what I think would be a good PvE spec. My PC is giving so much messages. Alright, so I guess in a PvP scenario, I will definitely want to have deterrence, counterattack, wyvern sting, and I cannot have intimidation, so it's either wyvern sting or intimidation. What would you suggest going?
Depends. Are you in a more organized group with other people, with friends, or is this more of a kind of pickup group with random people? I think that would be the deciding factor.
I guess let's start with the pickup group with random people.
Pickup group, random people.
Yeah.
You're looking. So yeah, pickup group, random people is very chaotic. Technically, you could go with any talent as long as you can kill your opponent. It's a bit more flexible, but you're looking at Wyvern Sting for the kind of CC.
I'm just checking. Would you go with 5/5 deflection for PvP?
Not really, because it only takes care of physical damage dealing classes. It's just half the battle.
So you would still take 3 out of 3 in humanoid slaying?
Personally, a hunter, when it comes to dealing with a melee time, I don't see why you would put points to make it even easier, or no, you're looking at putting points somewhere else.
The thing is, monsters. Yeah, I don't really see a point in putting too much into the monster slaying talent.
I believe you put a point in.
Wait, humanoids are players actually humanoids?
No, no,
So it doesn't really make sense putting points in there either. So
no.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you're looking at putting points in deterrence, counterattack. Yeah, putting points in improved wing clip. Improved wing clip is very good. I believe the tooltip is just flat out broken. I think it's actually higher than it shows. If I'm being honest. What else? Put points in survivalist. Survivalist kind of takes care of melee classes and magical classes, whether it be a mage or warlock. So survivalist is a very good talent.
Okay. Survivalist. Where do I find it? Oh, there. Yeah,
So,
I already
yeah,
had it.
good.
Okay. So we still need Wyvern Sting. I have way too many points in survival. So I have 5-5 in deflection, 5-5 in improved wing clip. I still have 2 out of 2 in savage strikes.
Mm-hmm.
Then 5 out of 5 in survivalist. I have 1 in deterrence, and I have clever traps also.
Mm-hmm. You can put a point in entrapment. I believe entrapment does see some light of day here and there.
Is it better than clever traps? Or do you want
Uh,
clever traps as well?
mm, Actually, yeah, I put the point in clever traps. It's
So,
really situational, honestly.
okay, so you can
Technically, it depends on the battleground, even.
so you cannot really go wrong. Is that right?
No, you can't really. No, you can't go wrong.
Okay. I will just put something in there to have like a build. Right. Okay. So what would be the playstyle in the PvP scenario? If you're with random people, what you probably want to make as much kills as possible, or slow people, or how do I see it?
Yeah, you're looking at slow. You're looking at slowing. Your toolkit in survival is amazing to deal with melee classes. You absolutely can destroy rogues and warriors if you play it right, obviously. So if you're looking to pick and choose your battles, you're mostly staring at a warrior or a rogue. Uh, yeah, most likely, if you're in a half decent group, they'll ask you to deal with melee. You can really stand your ground. Yeah.
Okay. So I see Cargos is in the chat. That's really nice. If you guys don't know, Cargos is not hosting. He's at a Red Bull event of Limit. I think there are a few other guilds in there, but the world first race is going on, and Cargos is sometimes on the stream as a caster. So you should definitely go and check it out if you want. I think Limit is at 7 out of 8 right now. Just like Method, so it's really a close battle, but that's BFA, so that's not what we are talking about right here. Did you check the world first race yet?
I checked it. Yeah, it's pretty thrilling, I must say. The lengths people are willing to do to get world first, it's insane.
Yeah.
I wish World of Warcraft Vanilla had that same kind of phenomenon, right?
Yeah, the
There
thing
will be
is,
some, it's just not to the extent of world first on BFA.
yeah, it's quite hard to achieve something like that in vanilla because everything's figured out. So
Yeah,
they would
yeah.
have, yeah, they would
We're
need like new
resorting to
content. It's also
we're
a
resort.
totally
Yeah.
different kind of system, right? Um, in the old days, you needed gear to kill bosses, and now I think you can kill every boss. Normally, you should be able to kill every boss with the gear you have from the previous tier without grinding the raid for multiple weeks.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I guess it's technically possible in vanilla as well, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, in vanilla, we've resorted to speed running raids, just because stuff is already figured out. I have my own little kind of mindset towards that whole thing, where I try to tank a raid with a kind of unconventional class. That's my way of challenging myself in the game. Yeah, I go through that on my YouTube. So if anyone's interested,
Yeah,
definitely check
you
it out.
can. If you give me the link, I will. Or you can. No, you cannot put it in the chat right now. So if you join, can you give me the link of your YouTube so I can put it in the chat? Okay. So there you go. I think you have a lot of videos about all kinds of, well, what people call meme specs, right?
Yeah, I don't really like the word meme spec. Well, I guess the word meme has kind of to mean multiple things. But when you kind of, let's say meme spec, when you play these meme spec to their maximum potential, you're not far behind from the more traditional stuff. So it's just a matter of putting in the effort, honestly.
Um, okay, is there anything you want to add to this Billy Hunter thing?
What else? Oh yeah, I'd like to point out perhaps the kind of best in slot you can get, kind of as a
Okay.
melee hunter, looking at wielding Thunder Fury. Believe it or not, Thunder Fury.
All right.
If you're lucky enough to get Thunder Fury, it synergizes very well with the tier 3. yeah, the TR3 ranged hunter involves pretty much slowing down a melee class's attack speed to absolutely minuscule numbers, and you can devastate in PvP. It's definitely the best fun you can ever have as a melee hunter is wielding Thunder Fury. As much as that might be a dream, um, it makes for pretty cool
Mhm.
montages and yeah.
Papa MooNN is saying he wants Thunder Fury first, so it definitely will go to
Oh,
the main tank
I could
first, right?
I could go on a whole rant on why warriors don't need thunder. Let's not get into that.
Okay. So, yeah, Papa MooNN also asks, is there a possibility to go with the dual leveling style with the melee hunter? And if so, which class would you dual level with?
Ooh, dual leveling. That's an interesting question. Like I said before, I wouldn't suggest going melee hunter leveling just because you want to keep your distance from the mob, especially on a PvP server. But if you have to play a melee hunter and dual leveling, you're most likely looking at a healer, just because managing aggro on the mob might be a bit difficult, right? If you crit and you steal aggro from your pet, even with growl,
Mhm.
uh, I would say perhaps a paladin.
Paladin is always a good dual
Yeah,
leveling class, right?
the emergency bubbling, the emergency everything.
Okay. Um, Good. I think we almost have discussed everything about the melee hunter, right? So, if there's any more questions from chat, maybe, or if you want to say something you didn't say yet, I think we can probably try and round this up.
Let's see here. No, I believe I've mentioned everything. Like I said before, melee hunter really demands the effort.
Mm-hmm.
Really demands the effort to really see the damage, right? You can't really play this half chalant. You have to really go hard at it. In terms of pets, pets is
Oh
very
yeah, yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
So our kind of best in slot pet, if you will, is the wind serpent from Zul'Gurub called Son of Hakar. So Son of Hakar is very unique in the way that he has a rank of higher rank of, I believe it's lightning breath.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, which scales with spell damage, whether it be from buffs or debuffs on the boss. Not to mention, the Wind Serpent is a ranged pet, so it's easier to keep him alive because he's not exposed to the melee elements of the boss. So, right, he completely avoids boss AoE. So, yeah, you're
Okay.
looking not only as an orc, if you really want to do good damage, you're looking orc hunter with a Wind Serpent.
So would you say melee hunter is more viable as a horde player or as an orc player, or is it also viable as an alliance player?
I would say it's more viable as a not to mention, well, yeah, mostly because if Shadow Oil doesn't necessarily work how it's supposed to, or it works differently on your server, you have the option of Wind Fury Totem, which is very good for a melee hunter. Kind of offers a solution, kind of alternative option. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Someone in chat, Juno Jelly, he asks if what's your idea on Fell Striker dual wield weaving on a hunter?
Fell Strike dual wield. Oh, wow. Well, if you're lucky enough to get Fell Striker, to get two of them, wow. Fell Striker dual wield weaving on a hunter. Is this ranged hunter or melee hunter?
He says you could wing clip spam to get guaranteed crits and jump back and dump all attacks in the window.
I'm not that familiar with that build. I'd be very interesting to hear about that. Um, hmm.
So that's something you can still think about and theorize a little bit, maybe.
Yeah. Fell Striker is definitely a very attractive option, especially the fact that Wing Clip performs a Phantom Strike. I'll look into that. That's very interesting. Thanks
Okay.
for letting me know.
And also, Papa MooNN asks, how much would the DPS be as a melee hunter?
Oh, realistic or unrealistic? And in what raid?
Both is good. Let's start with MC and then go to next?
Oh, MC. MC, if you really put in the effort, you're looking at 500. I believe the norm for ranged hunter is 400, if I'm correct. I have to double check. And an MC, you're looking at 100 DPS more than a ranged hunter. Kind of the rule I use. After MC, wait, let me see. Actually, you're always looking at either 70 DPS more than a traditional ranged hunter.
Can you say it again? Because you went out for
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, as a melee hunter, you're usually looking 75 to 100 DPS more than a normal ranged hunter.
Okay, more. All right. That's the realistic or unrealistic?
Realistic.
Realistic. And that's when both go the extra step with buffs and stuff?
Yep.
Right. Okay. So, yeah, I guess that answers the question, right? Did you get into the beta, by the way?
No, I didn't get into beta, no.
Okay.
I have so much to test.
Me neither. There are a few more questions. Let me see. Fell Striker. Yeah, there's not really a question in that. Okay, so that's a very interesting talk we had here. I think we will, with Papa MooNN together with us, we will talk about some other, let's say meme specs right now. Unconventional specs. Something like the tank hunter you said would be interesting.
Yeah.
We can talk about the tank warlock even.
Protection. More than the eye.
Even the protection shaman or the elemental shaman.
Yep.
So there's a lot of things we can still talk about. When it comes to shaman, I think we will need Meldoran into the mix as well. So.
Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm always happy to bounce subjects off of people. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So I'm going to round this up. Thanks for coming.
No problem. It was my pleasure.
Yeah. So is there any shout out you still want to do?
Shout out. Yeah, I'd like to shout out .live. They have tons of good guides and terrific people.
Classic Live, that is, right? Because you went out for a little bit again, so.
Yes, sorry about that. Yes, classicwild.live. I'd like to shout out their terrific community that help out whether you're a veteran or a new player to the game. I definitely suggest you take a look. They'll be happy to help you with anything. They have a really good gear planner.
Yeah, that's right.
On top of that, they have a WoW Atlas that lets you kind of have a bird's eye view of the beautiful World of Warcraft and all it has to offer.
It's an awesome website. So many of the people I play with or stream with, sometimes Death Camp, Meldoran, Cargos, they are all involved with the website. And Ale is one of the webmasters, I think. So, right, I'm going to try an outro music. I'm not entirely sure if it will work. I'm not sure how loud it will be. So, be prepared.
Right? Yeah, give it a try.
It's all new, so let me find it. Almost there. This is a high quality stream, you know. Outro music, there we go. So this has been a stream with Caperfin and myself about the melee hunter, and I hope you learned something, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.
See ya.